Hello and welcome back, or for those of you that have never seen my face before, hello, I'm Jess and I'm the owner of Sew Much Moor, which is a small dressmaking fabric shop based in Tavistock, Devon. Now, this week, the shop has hit a big milestone. It was our 4th birthday on Thursday, which is mad. I can't believe how quick that has gone. Absolutely insane. So in this week's YouTube video, I thought I would do something you guys have been asking for quite a while. Since I started this channel, I have been asked for this type of video. So I thought, well, what better time to do it than to celebrate our 4th birthday? So we are actually going to do a shop tour in this video. But first, what I thought I might do, because I've also had a few questions here and there about kind of who I am, how Sew Much Moor started and all of that jazz. So I thought this video would be the perfect opportunity to cover all of that. So this is going to be a bit of a talking one where I tell you kind of, the origins of Sew Much Moor. And then I'm going to give you a shop tour so you can feel like you're here in person, even if you're just watching us virtually. Okay, so where do I start? Let's start with kind of a little bit about me and my background. So I've always been quite creative. As a kid, I was quite creative. My mum is really, really creative. She is actually an artist. She taught me to knit when I was under 10. I did lots of sewing stuff when I was a kid, art stuff, all sorts of crafts. That was kind of my thing when I was young. As I grew up, so kind of secondary school, I still was quite crafty, not specifically to sewing though. And when I went to school, so you could study textiles, which was like the sewing subject. You had to do that from year 7 to year 9. And then you could choose to do it as a GCSE, which was year 10 and 11. I did not choose to do it as a GCSE. I didn't like the teacher, and the things that we had done from year 7 to year 9 were incredibly boring. I remember I don't know what year it was, but we had to make a wind sock. To this day, I still don't really know what a wind sock is. It looked like a fish, and it was made out of I don't even know how to describe it, like horrible feeling stuff, like high vis stuff is kind of what it was made from. To this day, I don't know what a wind sock is or why we had to make one. And it just kind of put me off. So at school, I was never interested in sewing kind of academically. But I did choose kind of creative subjects. I did graphic design, and then as an A-level I did product design. I was kind of I liked the designing aspect of things. But when I was 16, my first job was a shop here in Tavistock. There is a full craft shop, so patchwork quilting, like sells all cotton fat quarters. It also sells all types of knitting wool, yarn, cross-stitch kits, ribbons, one of those shops that just sells everything you could really want in terms of crafting. It was that. It still exists. It's a great shop, but I worked there as a Saturday girl when I was 16, and that kind of got me into sewing. So like I said, it was a patchwork and quilting shop, so it only sold like cotton poplins and fat quarters. So it was for quilts, bag making, cushions, that kind of thing. So I did that. I was interested by it, by working there. So I did make lots of cushions, quilts, blankets, that kind of thing. But it never quite clicked. Like I really, really enjoyed making it. I really enjoyed the sewing of it. But it was always kind of like, in the back of my mind, it was always like, how many cushions do I need? How many quilts do I need? Like, I don't really need any more. And I know that a lot of people that do make quilts like regularly and they really enjoy it, they make them and then they give them away to charities. There's all sorts of charities that accept them, and I think it's great. I do think it's really great, but that never appealed to me. And looking back, I'm kind of like, well, clearly I didn't like it that much. It was clear, because my view on it was, if I'm going to go to that much effort, because patchwork and quilting is quite a lot of effort. There's a lot of steps. Like, you've got to cut all these tiny squares, and you've got to sew all these tiny squares. Then you've got to sew the strips. Then you've got to attach the wadding. Then you've got to attach the backing. Then you've got to quilt it. Then you've got to do the binding. Like, there was just multiple steps. And my view was always, if I've got to do that, go to that much effort, I'm not just going to give it away. And I feel like that shows that I didn't love it that much. I enjoyed the process, but yeah, I didn't love it. And there are only so many quilts one can need. So yeah, it never fully clicked for me. And then I was always interested in the idea of sewing clothes, but I feel like, as is true with a lot of beginners, I thought it was going to be really hard. I thought, oh God, that sounds really difficult. And then it also didn't help that, like, the people that I spoke to were like, oh yeah, that is difficult. Oh yeah, that is hard. I remember asking someone, it was a customer when I was in the other shop. I said, and I knew they made clothes, and I said to them, I was like, oh, how hard is it to sew with jersey fabric? Like, do I need a special machine? And I remember it vividly, and they were like, oh yeah, it's really hard. You need an overlocker. Like, you can't do it without an overlocker, and you need special needles, and yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do. And it really put me off. And it probably was at least 2 years later that I actually had a go myself. But that really put me off, which is now why I'm kind of, I would say, a bit of a advocate for the opposite of that. Like, if someone comes into the shop and asks me, what is it like to sew with jersey? Like, I'm like, it's easy. Like, you'll be fine. Don't freak out. No, you don't need a certain machine. No, it's not as difficult as you might think. Like, yes, it's not as easy as sewing cotton. I'm not saying that, but the way it was explained to me kind of was like, it was near on impossible, and you needed to be an expert to be able to sew it, which is absolutely not the case. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent here. So back to my story. So yeah, I worked there from when I was 16 as a Saturday girl, and then when I finished school, I actually worked there full time. So I went straight from finishing my A levels to working there full time. I loved it. I love working in a shop. I love retail. I love meeting people. I love, it's going to sound silly, but I love doing like a cash register. My mum always says to me when I was a kid, like, I used to love playing shops, and I used to say that I always wanted to work in a shop. Like, it's just, I just love it. I love everything about retail. So being in a shop was great. And then that being the, what's the word? Like, niche of that shop was a plus, because it was something I was interested in inside, like in terms of the like craftiness. I was interested in that. So they kind of went well together. And I worked there for 10 years. I worked there for a really long time, or just shy of 10 years. And yeah, I loved it. And I'd always kind of wanted my own, because I enjoyed it so much. Like, I've always wanted my own shop. I just never was quite sure, like, with what, selling what. I didn't really know. I just knew that I loved working in retail. But then basically what happened was, it was 2018. I just decided one day to be like, screw it, I'm going to give dressmaking a go. I went to a shop that's in Plymouth, because nowhere in Tavistock sells dressmaking patterns or that kind of thing. So I went to a shop that's in Plymouth, because I'd done a little bit of kind of Googling, and I'd heard of Tilly and the Buttons. I was like, I feel like that's a good place for me to start. So I went to this shop in Plymouth, and I bought the Tilly and the Buttons Cocoa sewing pattern, which is a jersey sewing pattern. And it was the first thing that I've ever made in terms of clothing. And it was so easy. And it was so quick. And I could wear it straight away. If I've got a picture of it, I will put it on the screen so that you can see. Like, it is not something I would ever wear now. It's not made in a colour that I like. I don't think mustard suits me at all, but for some reason, at the time, that's what I chose. So Oh yeah, I'll put a picture on the screen. So yeah, basically from then I fell in love with dressmaking, and it kind of snowballed from there. Of yeah, I became obsessed. It just clicked, because for me, like, I love clothes, I love fashion, I love going shopping, and yeah, I see it as I'm always going to want more clothes. Whereas going back to what I was saying before with quilts and that kind of thing, there's only so many quilts you want. For me, that is one. But compare that to clothing, I could have over 10 different sweatshirts and still want more. So it's like I'm not going to get bored of dressmaking, and I think it just really, really clicked for me. So yeah, fast forward a couple of years, like I said, I'd always had a dream of owning my own shop. I'd suddenly kind of woke up to this passion, I guess, for dressmaking, and that kind of all collided, and then COVID happened, and I lost my job. Well, I didn't lose my job. It like furlough happened, and everything was shut down. You couldn't go to work. You couldn't go and do anything, and you were kind of forced to have all of this time. It was like forced time off, and it kind of having that time off meant that I had time to think, and I just decided to go for it. It was kind of like now or never. I was 27 at the time, and it was just kind of like, I'm never going to have an opportunity to do this again, because COVID did force me to stop. If I had continued to be working, I wouldn't have had the time to think about planning this, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's when it started, like the thoughts and planning started in 2020. And then 2021, I launched the website. By this point, I'd left my other job. And yeah, I'd launched the website 2021, and then that was the beginning of the year. And then by the end of the year, I opened the shop. So it wasn't quite as straightforward as that for like the year of 2021. So it wasn't always my plan. It wasn't my plan at all, to be honest, to actually have a physical shop that quickly. Because like I said, I think the website launched in February, and then obviously we opened the shop in December. My plan was not to do that quickly. I kind of thought, oh, we'll make online work first, because obviously having a physical shop is quite a big expense. But I was then looking into storage units, because the one thing about fabric, it really does take up a lot of space. So when I first launched, I had all of the fabrics in the spare room at my parents' house, and it was overflowing from the spare room, and it was quite the headache to like cut orders, because all of the fabrics were laid on top of each other, and then no matter what, somebody would order something and it would be from the fabric at the bottom of the pile, and you'd have to pull all these bolts off to get to the fabric you needed, and it just was a bit of a headache. So I looked into storage units thinking, oh, that might work, but storage units are quite expensive. Who knew? I didn't. At the time, I was really surprised at how expensive they were. And so I was just kind of having a look at how much retail units were around Tavistock, and there were a few that really were not that much more than a storage unit, this being one of them. And so I went for it. I went for this shop. And then really the rest is history, because we opened December 2021, and it is now 4 years later, and we're still here. The shop does look a lot different to how it started out. When we started out, you might, if you are local and you came in at the beginning, you might remember we didn't have an awful lot of stock, because I've got to be honest, stock is expensive. Fabric is not cheap, and we've had to kind of build up to be able to stock the shop fully. So comparing what the shop looked like at the beginning 4 years ago to now makes me really, really proud. I am really proud of myself, because yeah, it's taken a lot, and it's a lot of work, and being self-employed is hard work. don't let anyone tell you different. It's not as easy as I think some people might think being self-employed is. It's hard, it's a lot, but I absolutely love it. Like, I wouldn't change it for the world. I absolutely love meeting you guys when you come into the shop, and a lot of the people that are watching this right now, you've actually made a special trip, like, because obviously a lot of people aren't local, but you come down here on holiday, you come to Cornwall and you'll stop in Tavistock on your way, or you'll make a special day out from your holiday to travel to Tavistock to come and visit here, and that makes me so proud. And I love meeting all of you, and yeah, just I love it. I love this job. It's amazing. So thank you so much for supporting me, because even you just watching this video helps, and helps keep me going. So yeah, thank you. Anyway, I feel like that covers most of the story. Let me know if you do have any questions about how we got here, but hopefully that does cover the majority of it. But I think it is now time to give you a little bit of a shop tour. What do you say? This is your view when you first come into the shop. So we've got a nice little ramp, so it's really accessible for wheelchair users or push chairs. You haven't got to navigate any kind of steps. And this is your view. So the first thing you see is our display table here in the middle, which I have just tidied up because this tends to get quite messy quite quickly. Now over here I've got all of our new embroidery kits, which you can see there, so they're all organised. At the back here I've got a couple of our punch needle hoop sets, and then I've got the Tilly and the Buttons Drew pattern there on display, the Kylie and the Machine woven labels. These are so popular this time of year because they're like perfect stocking fillers, aren't they? And then we've got a little basket of fat quarters. Now these aren't available on the website, they're only available in store, but nice little mixture of cotton fat quarters. And then in this basket is where I keep all of the Merchant and Mills sewing patterns. And yeah, they're all through there and you can just have a flick through. So that's the table that you first see when you come in. I'm going to go this way round the shop. So here is our little remnants trolley that is actually quite empty at the moment, but I have got plenty of remnants out of the back, so that's going to be filled up very, very soon. I also actually want to show you our Christmas window, but I don't know if you can see this here. So this is our haberdashery tree, and I'm so proud of it. Basically, it's a Christmas tree, obviously, but I've put random bits of haberdashery within it to make it a haberdashery tree. I love these sewing machine decorations. I got these a few years ago from, where did I get them from? Typo, I think. Really, really cute. And then I've got a little handmade star. It's not the neatest thing, but it is what it is, saying what it is, a haberdashery tree. How blooming cute. I do this every year and I'm always equally as excited by it. Right, then this is where I keep the wadding. So we just do one type of wadding, which is an iron-on wadding, and it's quite bulky, so that's where it lives. Then I'm going to move round. So this little display is new. I've actually just changed this around. So this is a mixture of embroidery kits, cross-stitch kits, needle felting kits. Then we've got the mugs that are super popular. I designed these. So these are, you've got 3 different types of definition mugs. So you've got the fabric hoarder, the dressmaker and the seamstress. And then this one here, which is always the most popular, that says, "Go away, I'm sewing." And then just below is where I keep the rest of the punch needle kits. You can see they're quite bulky, so I kind of have to find a home for them where I can. Then this corner here is where we have got all of our buttons, and this is the haberdashery wall. So I'm going to go along this slowly so you can see. So we've got all of our elastics on top of the button box here. Then we've got the snaps, we've got cover buttons, we've got the snap fasteners are all here. Then we've got hooks and eyes, cotton tape, anything kind of jeans related. So you've got rivet kits, jeans buttons, you've got the bib and bracets, the eyelets. Then down here you've got all the different pins and clips. I've tried to keep it in a vaguely sensible order. You've got different marking pens, tape measures, any kind of measuring thing. Then you've got all the different machine needles, all the different bobbins, more needles, hand sewing needles, and then down the end is a little bit of miscellaneous stuff. Then going back up here, because I don't want to miss anything, we've got our exclusive bags. So buying fabric and sewing are two entirely different hobbies. I may look like I'm listening, but in my head I'm sewing, and a lady never discusses the size of her fabric stash. How cute are they? And then I'm going to go back over here to show you the fabrics. So down here is where I keep all of our jersey fabrics. I try and keep them separate so that when people come into the shop, they'll 9 times out of 10, if they're looking for stretch fabric, they know they're looking for stretch fabric, so they will specifically ask where it is. So I like to keep it all together so it's nice and straightforward. So I've tried to keep them in a vague colour order, but all of these, let me spin the camera around, are our cotton jerseys. I've also got our ribbings here as well, and there's some more tucked in down the end there. So yeah, all of the stretch is kept together. And then along the top here, we've got more sewing patterns. So I keep all of the children's patterns in here. So these are the Poppy and Jazz children's sewing patterns. In here is a little bit of a miscellaneous collection. So cashmere, and then the Wardrobe by Me ones that we do. So the Wardrobe by Me ones, I've actually only stocked the men's sewing patterns in the Wardrobe by Me. They're all mixed in there. And then this last basket is full of the chalk and notch sewing patterns, which are always super, super popular. And then I want to show you these up here. So in this corner here is my little desk. So you can see we've got our card machine here, and yeah, it's a little bit messy, but that is just me. But what I wanted to show you was these up here. So I'm going to come round and show you a bit closer. My mum is an artist, so 4 years ago when I opened the shop, when I was designing the layout of the shop, I knew I was going to have bit of a blank space here and I wasn't sure what to do with it. So I asked her very nicely if she wouldn't mind painting me some exclusive sewing themed designs, because she doesn't normally do sewing themed anything. So these are exclusive. So we've got a little mannequin here. I'm going to bring it up close so you can see there's sequins all in the painting, and a little bumblebee. And then the next one is this giant flower, and it's meant to be a pincushion. This one's actually my favourite because I think it's really cute. So these are pins in the head of a daisy. So when you get close, you can see it's the needle and thread, and then that's what's attached to the bumblebee there. I love that one. That one is my favourite. And then the final one is a sewing machine. And again, they've all got these sequins, so they're nice and sparkly and they really catch the light. So these are mine, but I do have prints available. Hopefully you can see there. So they're not originals, but they are prints available of those 3 designs, but I love them. I love them so much. Okay, so back from the center position here. So as I spin around, you come to the next corner. So over here is more haberdashery. I've moved this around recently, so this now has all of the kind of mending stuff. So you've got wonder web and iron-on patches. This is also where I keep the bias binding. Then we've got all the papers, so the squared pattern paper, tracing paper, dressmaker's carbon paper, and then all of the scissors and cutters are now in this corner, as well as the little rosy cheeks woven labels stand. I love it. I think it looks really cute in that corner there. Then on this wall is where I keep the Tilly and the Buttons patterns. You should recognise this because this is where I stand in front of when I film my normal YouTube videos. You can see here, this is where I put the overlocker threads. So these are, I think they're 5,000 metres, but they're only £3. So super, super affordable, really good way of getting overlocker thread. Then back in this corner onto the fabrics, this is where I keep our sweatshirtings. We are slightly low in stock of sweatshirtings at the moment, so don't judge that there's a few gaps here. So these are the standard sweatshirtings. And then over here are the slightly more unique and fleece fabrics. And then again, more sweatshirtings down here, but these are like the knitted sweatshirtings. Okay, so you can see that is the fabric room just there. But as I turn around again, I just want to show you that is where the clothing rail is. So just on the edge. And then walk through here into the fabric room. So it's quite hard to show you because it feels very zoomed in on this camera, but I'm going to walk you through it and where I keep everything. So first things first, this is our thread stand. So we stock the Gutermann Sew On recycled polyester threads. And then the ones on the top are not recycled, but they are polyester, but they are the 1,000 metre threads. Then down in this corner here is where I keep all of the interfacings. We've got a lot of different interfacings there. And then onto the first fabric stand. So this is at the moment, because I do change around, so don't, if you're studying this thinking that when you come here it might be exactly the same, it's unlikely to be because I do move the fabrics around when I feel like it. But at the moment, this is all of the cotton. So along the bottom here, in this corner here, these are the cotton lawns up to kind of the gingham fabric. And then from there, it's cotton poplin. Then we've got kind of embroidered cottons. Hopefully you can see that there, kind of, yeah, more unique fabrics in the middle. And then along the top is a bit of a mixture. They're all cottons, but some of them might be cotton poly blends. Some of them are cotton anglaise. They are just, yeah, a real mix. So all cotton, but a bit of a mixture of what you get along the top here. Then the next one over is where I put our baby cords. They look so nice together up there, don't they? Really pretty colours that just go together really well. And then here we've got linens. And to be honest, a lot of where the fabrics are kept is to do with how big the bolts are and where they fit. Because these down here are also linens. You've got the plain linens this end, and then this corner here is a mixture of 100% linen and linen viscose mixes. Then this corner, we've got more cords in the corner here. So you've got jumbo cords here. Then this is where I've put the stretch denims. Now these do move around quite a bit, just depending where I can fit them. But you can see when I go like this, all the cords and the heavier fabrics are at the top here at the moment. Then these two here are just here because they fit there for now. They haven't got a real home. This bottom corner is where I have put the double gauze fabrics at the moment, because obviously it's winter, so they're not as popular this time of year. So I've kind of tucked them into the corner here. but these are, yeah, all of our double gauze. Then down here are fabrics that do not fit on the shelves at all. They are too tall, the bolts are too tall, but these are heavier fabrics. So these are like our coatings. Apart from this red one here, this is actually a double gauze, but it's too wide, it doesn't fit on the shelf. So just lives on the floor down there. And then here is all of our viscose fabrics. Now, I know there's some gaps and I know it's not the neatest thing, so please forgive me. But I've tried to keep them in a vague order. So you've got all dark black, brown kind of colours over here. This is blues and teals. And then down here, I've tried to do whites and reds. And then don't ask me about this. They're just where they live for now. But yeah, all of these are the viscose fabrics. Then I've also got a bunch down on the floor at the moment. So this isn't their forever home. I do actually plan to build some more units to go along here. I just haven't got around to it yet. So one day soon, there's going to be some units here, because above them is where I keep all of our independent sewing patterns. So we have got Megan Nielsen, Friday Pattern Company, True Bias, and Closet Core. And I try and do a big range of these, and at the moment this is what they're looking like, and I just think they look very cute. So yeah, and then I've also got a little mirror here, so when you're in here you can pick up a fabric off the shelf, hold it against you, and you can actually see whether the colour and the pattern suits you and all of that. So this is the fabric room. I'm going to walk back out so you can see what it looks like as you're coming out of here. But let's do one last final look of the room. So that is the shop tour. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you do have any questions, but I think that kind of concludes this video. I just want to say thank you so much for supporting us, and even just by watching this video you are supporting us, and the past 4 years have been an absolute dream. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's been some very hard times within those 4 years, and it is a lot of hard work, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I absolutely love it. So yeah, it's been a dream. So thank you so much for supporting, and yeah, do let me know if you have any questions about anything that I've kind of covered here. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again in next week's video. Bye.